So, I saw Sonic 3. Let's talk about it. That's right, folks. Sonic the Hedgehog 3, my most anticipated film to watch as of this year, 2024. The funny thing about these films is that they come out every 2 years. So, first in 2020, we had the first Sonic movie. Then in 2022, Sonic 2. 2024, Sonic 3. I find that really interesting with how quickly they make these movies, pun entirely intended. But I think it's just because there's so much material to cover, and Jeff Fowler and his team kind of knows the ins and outs of Sonic's world, and they really try to emphasize, we respect the games and we respect the lore and history, so we're going to incorporate that into the films. So long story short, they knew what they were doing when they made this film and all the others. So I would like to say that the cast really knocked it out of the park. Love Keanu Reeves as Shadow. I think it was really fitting. The theme of the movie kind of gave it a John Wick vibe, as it is. You see a couple of the promotional posters, and in the trailer you see him on a motorcycle, and he has this little blaster. Yeah, very reminiscent of both John Wick and the Shadow the Hedgehog game, which was really funny. And then, of course, you got Jim Carrey, who is phenomenal as Eggman / Robotnik, but he also plays Gerald Robotnik, which is peak. Absolute cinema. Yeah, so there's that. You got Tika Sumpter, you got James Marsden reprising the roles as Maddie and Tom, respectively. You got Ben Schwartz, Colleen Shaughnessy, Idris Elba. You got all the good guys, good old cast having a good old time with this film. They get better and better with each movie. Like, they were already good before, but they really stood out, and I'm very grateful for what they've done to bring these characters to life. So, yeah. One thing I would like to preface is this video is split up between spoiler-free review and spoiler review. So you've been warned, and I'll make sure to warn you again when I go into the spoiler territory. So stick around if you don't care about spoilers, but click off if you don't like spoilers. Now let's get on to the spoiler-free summary of events. So we all know that the movie takes place right after the Knuckles show. A lot of people call it the Wade show, but I don't mind. I like Wade. I think he deserves some character development after the first two films. And Knuckles got his time to shine too, so cool. So they take story beats from Sonic Adventure 2 in this film, because of course we got Shadow, we got Gerald Robotnik, we got Maria, we got all the good stuff. So the action was way better than the first two films. Not to say that the other two are bad. Like, they were pretty good. They had their own sense of uniqueness, and the action was pretty good in those. But, this was on a grander scale, so there was more to see, more going on. And, it's complemented by the CGI. It gets better with each movie, and I do feel that this one really stands out in the best way possible. Even Sonic running, like a simple scene like him running, like it really feels like he's there. The lighting, composition, all that stuff, it complements how everything looks. Each setting has its own unique flair, and it's just kind of cool seeing like past and present sort of details. I love that Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles are now like in a brother bond. They act more like a team now, so they officially are Team Sonic. So it's cool to see them, just trying to compete and be like goofy brothers, and then they work together to fight Shadow and then all that stuff. So it's pretty cool. Robotnik, Jim Carrey stole the show just as much as Keanu Reeves did as Shadow. And I say that because Jim Carrey plays two characters. Yeah. He plays Gerald Robotnik, and it's so funny. I love their dynamic throughout the film. You can definitely tell that Eggman Robotnik is like yearning for that familial bond, and Gerald's just kind of like, yeah, I'm here, I got Shadow, cool. But also, like, he wants to be a grandfather, so he's like being very funny about it. He's just like, yes, let your old pap come and teach you the ways of the Robotnik family, or whatever. I don't know, just funny stuff. Shadow was cool. He's got his revenge arc, and then he turns good, as we would know in Sonic Adventure 2, so that's there. Agent Stone's back. The Chow Garden like little thing in the trailer. It was just funny, you know, Pika Pika. Tom and Maddie are pretty good too in the film. They have more to do, let's just say. Like they're really like delving into the parental figure aspect of the relationship with Sonic and the other two. So that's good to see. And it's always nice to see them both, you know, kind of on the screen. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, the flashbacks with Shadow and his creation, and then, you know, just bonding with Maria, that was always, you know, a treat to see. And, you know, just, it was just, I don't know what else to say. I mean, it was just really good. Overall, spoiler free, good stuff. If you're a casual Sonic fan, if you're a new Sonic fan, if you're a returning Sonic fan, whatever the case may be, even if you don't even like Sonic or you just want to see a movie for fun, go see this film. You'll get a kick out of it. Yeah, that's pretty much it for spoiler free. So now I'm going to warn you. So now we're going to get into spoiler territory. So if you haven't already, click off the video now. I'll give you a few seconds. Have you clicked off yet? We're all waiting. Spoilers. They're coming. Please. Spoilers. They're coming. You might want to hurry. Spoilers. Okay, alright, turn it off. Turn it off. Oh. Alright, so now let's talk spoilers. So, if you've watched my videos, you know that I reviewed Super Sonic and Super Shadow from the movie as action figures. And that's because Shadow turns super. And the way he turns super is pretty cool because Sonic was already transformed and he basically decked him in the nose while passing through the Space Colony Arc. And, you know, they fell to Earth, they were on a rocky terrain, and Shadow was just kind of having his little monologue about how Sonic is just filled with rage and he's just doing this out of anger. And the moment he slips, it's gonna, you know, not work in his favor, so he turns super, and they're fighting. And Shadow's just kind of giving the same, you know, words, just talking about how he's forgetting about his friends. Sonic punches Shadow square in the face, sends him to the moon, and he lands there, and Sonic's about to finish him off, and Shadow's like, go ahead, you know. You're not going to be the same person you were before. This kind of leans back into Tom's message of just be careful, like, just because something can happen to you doesn't mean you can change in here. So, you know, talking about the goodness in Sonic's heart. So that message kind of got relayed back to Shadow because in a flashback scene, Maria was talking about how even though the star may be gone, the light will remain, because they were looking up at stars and it was really pretty. And so Maria was just kind of talking about how the light will still be there for us to see. And that got reiterated to Shadow, and he saw the value of it. And that spawned from the sun gleaming over the horizon of the Earth as they were sitting on the moon, just kind of like contemplating what to do next. And Shadow got his sort of redemption by thinking about it, and he was like, wait, so this means I can do the right thing. And that's what he does. So that was pretty cool to see. So Sonic and Shadow dap it up, and Shadow turns super, Sonic turns super, and they go off to stop the Eclipse Cannon because Shadow realized that it's a threat to the world, and Gerald is basically off his rocker. I mean, he said he was like 110 years old or something like that, so yeah, not fun. So Sonic's rage at that beginning part spawned because Tails had created a disguise, like a little cloaking device that could change your form, change your voice, appearance, all that stuff. So Tom and Maddie had to sneak into the gun headquarters after shutting down the force fields and getting the USB chip in to infiltrate the Space Colony Arc, or the Eclipse Cannon. And, you know, there's this whole thing with Jane from Breaking Bad. It's the actress. I can't remember her name off the tip of my tongue, but pretty much she works as like the second in command at Gun, and they're in London. There's some shenanigans with the security room and getting the key code to access the Ark, and Tom masterfully disguised himself as the Gun commander, Commander Walters, if I remember correctly. And so he gets the card from his second in command, basically. And when that happens, he's still disguised as the commander, so Shadow sees him and, like, punches him hard in the chest. Leaves him unconscious, incapacitated completely, and Sonic's like, Tom, oh my gosh, trying to wake him up and all that stuff, and he was sad and upset. And it brought Shadow to a flashback of Maria when she died. So one thing you should know is that the Gun base is not in the Ark. It's in a mountain, like an underground base. And so instead of being shot, like people were theorizing or even just, making memes about for this movie, Maria dies from an explosion, which kind of fits more into the family-friendly aspect of it. And also, it wouldn't seem right. So Gerald survived. He was imprisoned for 50 years, and Shadow was locked in his own cell for 50 years, like in a little tank, just kind of subduing him until the beginning of the movie, end of Sonic 2 post-credit scene. And yeah, so Sonic is angry. He takes the Master Emerald from Wade, who gets a little cameo. He's in Green Hills as a little hockey player, and he uses the Master Emerald as a puck. So Sonic takes it real quick, and Wade's like, well, I tried. And Sonic goes super, and then that's when that scene begins. So Live and Learn is played. Like the original audio from the vocalist Johnny Jewelli plays for a little bit, and then it goes into like an orchestral version of the song. And it was really good because it was just Sonic and Shadow like teaming up together, like actually doing combos together, like destroying gun robots. Like that came from the Ark, because Gerald was like, these two need to be stopped now. Robotnik, Eggman, or Jim Robotnik, he's basically like, oh my gosh, like, my grandfather doesn't even want me, because Gerald was basically like, you're no Maria, When she died, like, my family just ceased to matter to me, and that was messed up. So at this point, Tails and Knuckles are there to help Robotnik, because he was dangling off the railing, because he and Gerald had a little fight with their techs, or like with their suits, because the Eggman suit, it actually had a couple gadgets, and like they were doing really fun fights, and Gerald thought he won, of course, and Robotnik and his weird obsession with Sonic's quills, and where he like licks it and he like zaps a couple times. He didn't do that. He had a supersonic quill and like poked Gerald in the butt. And that sent Gerald flying, electrocuted. And since Shadow had already powered up the Ark using his speed, the after effects, like it was in a whirlwind, so it was still charging and everything. And the funny thing was, Gerald got launched into it, and all you hear is... So that's how Gerald Robotnik dies, which is hilarious. So he actually does die in the canon, just way later in the timeline. So yeah... That was funny to me. And then, they're figuring out how they can stop the Ark from destroying the world, basically. So, the cannon won't fire a laser. And so, yeah. The laser's fired. Sonic and Shadow do everything they can to stop it. Sonic is basically knocked out of his super form because of how much pressure it is on him, and also just the super form is a very taxing transformation for him. So he falls out of it. Tails goes after him. Knuckles goes after them. Shadow, after Sonic and him moved the laser, it hits the moon, so you can insert... I'm pissing on the moon! So, yeah, it's pretty funny. And so Robotnik's like, okay, I gotta figure out how I can like maneuver it to move away. Sends a goodbye message to Agent Stone after connecting to the screens. Yeah, it was really heartfelt, because this felt like the end of Jim Carrey's like film and acting career. He might be back, who knows? But it was just nice to see, like, closure between him and Agent Stone, because Robotnik didn't treat him the best throughout the films, but, you know, Agent Stone was such a loyal, henchman, you know, so it was nice to see that happening. So I think Robotnik sacrificed himself, and Shadow ultimately did the same by pushing the Ark away. So when it exploded, he'd be caught in the blast. So that happened. Everything went back to normal. And at the end of the movie, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles are celebrating. You know, at the beginning of the movie, it was Sonic's birthday, but it's actually like his Earth Day, like the first day he ever showed up on Earth. But it was also his birthday. So that happened, and Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles were gonna race, like, actually, instead of using holograms of Tails and Knuckles. And this leads into post-credit scene territory, so we're gonna get into that for spoilers. So Sonic ends up going way too far, because his overconfidence did get the better of him, and he ended up in New York, at a park. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but he ends up running into a new character. Just, you see electricity in the background, you see the dust kind of clearing, and you see the outline of Metal Sonic. Like, it looks like he was ripped straight from the games and, like, updated to kind of fit the movie. Sonic's like, oh, you got a couple details wrong. It's going to take more than just a little blaster to get to me. And, like, he kicks Metal Sonic. He gets up. Then an army of Metal Sonics show up. And they're about to jump him. Like, they're slow motion, just about ready to get him. All of a sudden, you see this pink light. A pink streak of light just, like, destroy all the Metal Sonics. Then you see a hammer in the sky as it flies off after destroying the Metal Sonics. A hooded figure comes, grabs it, lands right in front of Sonic, and Sonic's like, who are you? Figure opens up the hood to reveal Amy Rose, and that's where the movie ends. Yeah. There was also a scene of Shadow picking up his inhibitor rings, because he had to take them off to move the Ark away before it exploded. They fell onto Earth. He picks them up. He's, like, totally fine, too. You don't see his face, though. But you do see, like, his shoes, and he picks it up and he puts it back on his wrist, and that was it. So that's the post-credit segments. Great to see. So it is confirmed that we are going to be seeing a fourth Sonic the Hedgehog film, which is going to be awesome. It's not releasing until 2027, so we're not doing the 2-year production schedule. It's going to be 3 years now, which is good, because this gives the movie team more time to flesh out the story, and it's just going to be way better, so I'm looking forward to it. And will I wear this Sonic outfit again? Definitely. So guys, that's been my review of Sonic the Hedgehog 3. I hope that you got some good insight on how the movie is. If you stayed till the spoilers, I hope that you enjoyed what I had to share. If you had anything to remember from the film, if you saw it, leave your thoughts in the comments. Let me know what you thought of certain scenes. Let me know what you would have liked to have seen, or what you would like to see for the next film. So with that being said, that's been my movie review. I would give it a 10 out of 10. Again, absolute cinema. Would watch it again and again and again, which is what I plan to do. So yeah, with that being said, if you haven't already, consider subscribing, leave a like, leave some comments, sharing your thoughts, share this with a friend, and I hope that you all have a great day or night. Stay safe, be well, and enjoy. Till then, I'll see you in the next video. Take care.